And if you yes, people. Sound of the man called man Ernest Smith. Yeah, Ernest Smith there taking us through opening pieces. And today we have a fair amount of stuff that I would like to cover on this program today. And it's essentially a topic that has been beaten around the place, certainly over the last couple of days. And that is this whole business of police and the extrajudicial activities. Now, let me preface my presentation by just pointing out that Jamaica has a significant crime problem. There's no question about that, right? Significant to the extent that as a small country, for our size, we are the most murderous country in the world. And if you think that bad, wait till when we dive into some statistics that I put together this evening. Now, yesterday, two things clash down here, right? The Jamaica Police Federation went out, issued a plan to have, inviting the citizens of the country to wear blue, right, in support of the police that they maintain, is doing a particularly difficult job, and there's no question about that either, as to the difficulty involved in the work that they do, right? And so the police commissioner, you know, the Prime Minister of Jamaica as well, jumped into the discussions, and you know, well, he donned this blue suit. In my opinion, Prime Minister always have had a blue suit, so that was not anything particularly different in terms of his own approach. But so you know, he came out and he issued an announcement. Enough press coverage, and one wonders where all of this is. Now, the Jamaicans for Justice, people have been commenting as to their level of silence. You know, not having heard from them too much, certainly over the last the year to date, and so they had planned a demonstration in half a tree in Kingston to protest the level of the volume of murders, or let me put it another way, the murder rate being inflicted on the country by the police over time, right? And so that it essentially became you know, well, it has been a significant talking point, because in the first instance, most people don't want to have to deal with the fact of the evidence that is on thing. Now, let me throw some statistics here, because when we talk about police killing, and again, we live in a country in Jamaica where, and I have whole heap of family. Most of my siblings are in Jamaica. I visit Jamaica considerably often. And so I have a vested interest that we address this problem. Now, Jamaica has, and let me deal with it from the crime stats first. From a crime stats perspective, Jamaicans murder on average about 1,300 Jamaicans per year, and that has been so for the better part of the last 35 years. If you do the maths, you're looking at about 47,000 people being murdered in the country over that period of time. Now, in the last, I would say the last 7-8 months, and certainly since the beginning of this year, there has been a sort of a trending down, if you will, of the numbers. Okay, so there has been a trending down, and but with that trending down, what we have observed is that while the number, the murder numbers are trending down, what is trending upwards is the police kill rate of Jamaicans relative to almost everywhere else in the world. And I'm going to dive into those figures in a little bit, right? And so we'll have to gauge all of this conversation against a background of the fact that somewhere between now and the end of the year, early next year, Jamaica is constitutionally due to have a national or general election, which is essentially that election designed to choose which of the two political gangs, JLP, PNP, will govern the country for the next 5 years. Now, background, in 2016, when Andrew Holness, who was now, crowned himself with a doctorate, so goes by the moniker Dr. Holness. When he was canvassing for the role of Prime Minister, he was recorded as saying at a constituency meeting, if I remember correctly, it would have been in Montego Bay, where he stated that if you vote for the JLP, you as Jamaicans would be able to sleep with your doors and your windows open. His words. And you know, I don't want anybody to jump in and say, well, politician and politician talk, because that is bullshit. That's, you know, you in the context of an election, you are required to look at what the persons are saying that they are prepared to do. And I just want to welcome everybody who is joining. Opal, who joins us on Facebook. Again, welcome, Opal. And I just hope you share this stream with your friends, invite them to come on so we can have a rigorous discussion this evening. And of course, I look forward to your contribution. Now, I also want to welcome people who are joining on the website at yardmedia.com and elsewhere, on YouTube especially too. And just share your comments as we go along. Now, so the Prime Minister made this argument that they if you vote for them, you sleep with the door open. That's 2016. The JLP won the elections in February of 2017, and what happened subsequent to that is that when that came to pass, after winning, the murder rates for 2017 flew up to some, what is it, 15 or 1600 murders. By the following year, it was up to 1700 murders. And collectively, over the period between them winning the election to date, that is almost 9 years, some 12,000 Jamaicans, almost 13,000 Jamaicans have been murdered. So do the math, and you will see where we're. So with an election now in the offing, the Prime Minister has jumped out from early to say that the zero tolerance to gunmen and criminal murderers and whatever else, and has literally given a blank check to the police force to literally proceed with executing members of the public. No, I say this against the background. It's very important that people understand this. The role of the police is not for go to kill people, even if they're a criminal. The role of the police is to provide civil protection, and where you come across people involved in that kind of criminal activities, particularly gun activities, is that you are expected. The expectation is that the police would do whatever it is that is in their power to arrest, right, to detain, arrest, charge them, following on investigations, and then bring them before the court. The police is the first and the second stages of the whole of the crime management apparatus in the country. Crime management is not demarcated by your ability to kill other people, right? And Jamaica has a long history of eliminating people who there was no effort made to bring them to justice. And we can go as far back as you want to go, right? And people may ask, somebody said to me, why are you, up in arms against this whole thing? Because when they might kill gunmen, I say, well, I don't have a problem if the police are kill gunmen. But we are long past. There was a time when the police would have been able to do this, get away with it, because there was no responsibility on their part to demonstrate that they were using all of the preventative measures available to them. Having a big gun don't mean that you have to fire it, but the problem with giving somebody a gun is that they feel that they have to use it. Now, the last year, and on an annual basis, first of all, Jamaica has a record of its police killing on an average 147 of its citizens every year. Last year, that number went up to 184, right? 184. As of the 25th of April this year, the police has so far killed 105 people, which if you disaggregate those numbers and compare them with the previous years, the police killing is running at a rate of about 60% above what in a Jamaican situation one would deem as normal, 130, 140 people killed. And even then, those numbers are high. Let me also point out, with the exception of Venezuela and Brazil, Jamaica have the highest police kill rate in the world. The highest police kill rate of its citizens in the world on a per capita basis. Okay? In America, let me give you the stats, right? In America, the police kill rate of its citizens works out at 0.34 killings per 100,000 people, right? In fact, that would have been, that number went up a little bit to 0.38 per 100,000 of population. And then there's a breakdown where it looks at the numbers in terms of racial groupings. Non-Hispanic Black individuals, the kill rate is 0.69 persons per 100,000. This is in America. Hispanic, it's 0.35 per 100,000. Non-Hispanic white individuals, 0.2 per 100,000. This is America, right? The kill rate in Jamaica, right? The kill rate in Jamaica per 100,000 is 5 persons per 100,000 of population. 5. The Jamaican police kill rate is 15 times that of the United States of America, where every single jackman can go pick up a gun in a rum bar, a grocery shop. The most guns per capita anywhere in the world is America. There is, based on the gun distribution relative to population, it's that the average America is armed at a rate of some 4 guns per citizen, and America have a population of 326 to 330 million people, right? And the police kill rate, even with all of the racism and the all kind of problems in America, the police kill rate in America is 0.038 per 0.38 per persons per 100,000 of population. In Jamaica, using the 2024 numbers, Jamaica's kill rate is 5 people per 100,000 of population. People need to understand the significance of these numbers, because Jamaica's population is 2.8 million, right? And if people in Jamaica cannot see the grave anomaly in the numbers, right? Because we have a criminal problem, what we are doing, and the International Council for Human Rights have spoken about it, that for years they have argued that about police excesses. The first time I became really, focused on this thing was one morning way back in the the 2000s, early 2000s. I'm taking my daughter, who was going to Immaculate at the time. She would have been about 12 years old. And there was a story that came up about Michael Gale. Michael Gale was a man of unsound mind who was walking through a police checkpoint in somewhere there on, I think it was Seaward Drive, where it intersects with Hagley Park Road, and they stopped him. He basically, ignored the police and soldiers, and they hold him and beat him to within inches of his life. What stopped them is when one passerby saw the thing and said, because they knew him, and they said to the police and the soldier, the man is not too collected in his head. And so, this is unnecessary. Long story short, the police, they took him down to Hunts Bay, and after a little bit, them send him home. Them have him sit down on Hunts Bay there for hours, send him home, him start ball, same belly I hurt him in a mother yard. And they took him to KPH. Him there, sit down on the bench at KPH for another more than 30 hours. He sat down on the bench at KPH. They never even gave him a fenzik, right? They sent him home within a couple hours of them sending him home. He had to go back down there because what happened is his stomach was ruptured. They beat him and bust his stomach, right? And him feces basically start to poison him on the inside. And so the state of Jamaica failed that young man badly. First off, when the police and the soldiers beat him like that and then offered him no medical treatment. And when he went to the medical facility at KPH, and they in turn also continued that mistreatment by not even attempting to diagnose his issues, right? And my daughter said to me, Daddy, would you agree that Michael Gale is dead because he had nobody who could speak for him? And my daughter at the time is 12 years old. And I thought, it struck me that if a 12-year-old girl could see that level of injustice, the kind of injustice that was being dealt with, right? It was a wake-up call for me to start to pay attention. And then we heard about Gina who them kill up in Mona Heights there, where police claims him a gunman, and them run him down down on the football field. And they shot him 19 times in his back. 19 times in his back and the back of his head. Right? And so and when they did the investigation and thing, them claim that he had a firearm or he must fire and gun after them, but them can't produce a gun. Right? Them claim that their what you call it, tests, forensics show that him have gunpowder residue, when and nobody realizes that if the police fire gun after you and then hold on by your hand and lift you up and put you in the jeep, in the dead house car, them are going to transfer gunpowder residue by your hand. And the director of public prosecutions at the time, right? Was a KC old boy, if I remember correctly, and he ruled that the police, nobody mustn't charge him. It was the same director of public prosecutions who ruled that the soldier and police that killed Patrick Gale don't charge him. And I can go on and on and on, right? There was the case of the Brayton 7, and everybody, again, we're up in arms, and the police kick off the door of the house in a Brayton. And we can tell you that because I used to live at Brayton. We know the place set up. And go in there, put the boy them for kneel down, go up against the wall, and they shot all 7 of them in the back of them head. And then reports say them had a shootout. And because there is no camera evidence, nothing, again, Jamaica made them walk. So the Human Rights Council, International Human Rights Council, is correct in saying that because Jamaica have this continuous, this generationally ingrained crime problem, that the citizens of Jamaica have abandoned their rights, and by so doing they have allowed the police to commit atrocities including murder, right? There's a case that the Gleaner published it in the newspaper, I think early today. It was in today's newspaper, or today, well, it came up on social media, right? What is happening is the Gleaner had this video. The police went to a house somewhere in a Kingston there to look for a guy, and they literally stalked this guy, unbeknownst to them that the thing is being recorded, right? Unbeknownst to them, their activities are being monitored by a camera. And so the boy mother, 20-year-old boy, the police murder him, and say, shoot out. And there's no evidence provided by this camera to say that the boy, there was any gunfire and carrying on, right? And that is what Jamaicans, there's a whole pile of people in Jamaica who is talking about, boy, when gunman kill your family, where you can do on us kind of horse dead and cover. We as Jamaicans have to, some one of us have to start to address this thing, right? The police went to the boy, the young fellow, 20-year-old Shamar Riley. The police sent an execution squad to him, right? His mother was at the demonstration yesterday with Jamaicans for Justice. And all kind of people talk about, one guy come refer to me as bleeding heart. If I did that Jamaica, I would have shown him about bleeding. I would have a bleeding mouth, right? Because we have to, somebody need to stop, right? And insist that the police is accountable. I am not going to sit down here and say that the police don't have a difficult job, right? I'm not suggesting that them job not difficult, because it's damn difficult. And yes, when man fire shot after you, you have to defend yourself. But I live in America where everybody, by the virtue of the statistics, the allocation is 4 guns per thing. Criminal activity in America rampant, and them a sell gun left, right, and center, right? But the police killing of its citizens, even when them a kill black people left, right, and center, right? The police killing is 0.38 kills per 100,000 of population. In Jamaica, we are killing 15 times that number. 15 times. And people are down in Jamaica talk a bag of bullshit to give. Let me say this again. The police come from the same population as some of the criminals come from, right? And a lot of these police, one of the things I know as a man who used to carry a gun and have instances of having used it. Once you have a gun and you start to shoot somebody, there is a thing inside your psyche where you want to do it again. And when you give police this blank check, right? When you give the police this blank check to do this thing, right? When we do this, when we give police a blank check to execute the members of our population, what is going to happen is that after a while, it becomes a habit. In fact, I am convinced that based on what I am seeing going on in Jamaica, is that the police is now killing for sport, right? Now the police commissioner, in response to the, because there is a way between the government and the police that is trying to line up those of us who are saying, who draw on the brakes police, we have to be more judicious in the way how we do this thing. That the police cannot be judge, jury, and executioner. We are not, unless we are saying we are embracing the title that we are a failed friggin' state, because the Constitution of Jamaica makes the provision that every single citizen, including those who are accused of committing a crime, must be given an opportunity to have their day in court. There is no way that as a country we should be saying to the police, hey, see a bigger gun here, hey, see ballistic vest here, turn off the camera, right? Because that's what the Jamaicans for Justice is arguing about. And those of people out there who believe that the Jamaicans for Justice have no use and them a defend criminal, think again. Let me play this video that they borrowed this video from. I think it's from the TVJ, where the police commissioner. Let me give a listen to some of what he have to say and we'll comment on it after. So here we go.
Welcome back to Primetime News.
Special welcome to folks on OneSpotMedia.com.
Up first this evening, the Police High Command is hitting back at human rights group Jamaicans for Justice over comments about the increase in police fatal shootings so far this year.
Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake says JFJ's concern is misdirected and should be aimed at criminals who challenge a far more superior force. Anthony Lugg has the details.
In a release on Thursday, Executive Director of Jamaicans for Justice Michael Jackson said the increase in police fatal shootings has reached an alarming and intolerable level. The JFJ argued that the number is unacceptable in a democracy and is particularly troubling given the country's size. But on Friday, Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake hit back at the human rights group.
To suggest that fatal shooting numbers can be reduced by anything other than the unwillingness of persons being apprehended to engage in deadly confrontation with members of the security forces is irresponsible or at best advocating for us to relent in our pursuit. We again reiterate the point that those who seek to kill and maim will not be left free and unobstructed to hold communities at ransom and in constant fear.
As at February 19, there were 50 fatal shootings since the start of 2025, more than double the 19 recorded for the same period last year, representing a 163% increase. The JFJ stopped short of labeling the incidents as extrajudicial killings, pointing to the absence of body-worn camera footage in many of the fatal encounters.
This constant call for there to be more accountability over the JCF is in itself a slap in the face of Indicom. Be reminded that that is their single most important mandate. And let me be absolutely clear, lest I am misunderstood or misquoted. I am a full supporter of what Indicom stands for. An effective Indicom assures me that those among us who believe that they are free to break the law will be held to account and be removed from within our ranks.
Dr. Blake again pointed to data which suggests that thousands are arrested and brought before the courts yearly. He insists, however, challenging the police will not end well for criminals.
When the police come for you, do not raise your weapons against us. Lay down your weapons and have your day in court. But should you...
All right. So that is Police Commissioner, a man with a PhD. And I kind of wonder when I hear him talk all the time. I'm wondering if he's a rum bar, he must buy a PhD because I'm thinking everybody are idiot. Let me say it again. The statistics tell you, and statistics no lie, are only when those who are trying to interpret, misread, or deliberately fudge the numbers to reflect what them want to say, which is what the commissioner is doing. The reality is that up to the 25th of April, police have killed 105 Jamaicans, right? 105 Jamaicans. According to the JFJ numbers, is 160% over what would have applied a year ago. And last year, the police killed, for the entire 2024, 180 Jamaicans. Now, it might sound like a little bit of people dead because it's 100 and odd relative to the thousands were dead a year from gunman thing. But the role of the police cannot be, contrary to what the doctor man, our police commissioner is talking about eliminating. That he need to recognize is literally giving the police, right, a blank check to go out there and kill poor people picnic. Let me tell you something. Him and those who provide those instructions to the police can be brought before the International Court of Justice for that kind of activity. So maybe them don't know that, right? Because that kind of talk borders on being criminal. What you are doing is justifying the criminality of the police. The fact is that in more than 70% of these police shootings, there is no camera evidence from the shooter police to say or to substantiate the argument that the police were fired on. And unless the police is forced to come to books, and somebody somewhere, those of us who are well-thinking people, right? Those of us who are looking at the thing critically, because we it's not that we are giving criminals any loophole to crawl under, but justice must also appear to be done, right? What we are doing here is quietly, at first, there's a crack in the door to becoming a police state. But now it's not a crack anymore. And what the commissioner of police just did in that diatribe that him just lay out on the TVJ news, and again, I have to big them up for the clip, right? Is that he is outlining his desire to turn the place, to move the place to the right of the ledger for it to become a police state. Inex Records agree with you, right? The government of Jamaica and the PNP, who are opposition, both of them have failed this country, right? And they have failed for a country that is in its 63rd year of independence now, right? 63 years of independence. We are an abysmal failure as a country. Because if we cannot recognize that it is because of the way we have managed the resources of our country, right? Why so many of our young people have turned to criminal activity, right? And the answer to that is not, you can't go there and kill off everybody under the guise that you're killing criminals or you're getting rid of criminality. In 2010, when they had the Dudus thing down at Tivoli, the police and the military killed over 130 people down at Tivoli, right? And did it have an impact on the murder rate? Then yes, it did. The murder rates went down from 1,200 to just under 1,000 per month. But guess what? Within 4 or 5 years, it was right back up there again. 1,300. In fact, 2017, 2018, murder tally was some nearly 1,800 Jamaicans were murdered. So killing people to prevent killing is a strategy that has never worked. We have been doing this thing from as far back as the 1970s. And the reality is that as a country, while we have all of these statistics, we have the numbers to show that these strategies don't work. What has happened is our political masters between the PNP and the JLP have managed to give people the impression that using or turning the country into a police state is the answer to that problem. Nobody looks at how do we rehabilitate our youngsters. 63% of our young people leave our secondary school system no better than when they went in 5 years or so before that, right? And so when these youngsters are leaving school, we don't have no subject, as the boy with the song said, back at the class, me nah no subject, right? What happened is the problem is that these youngsters in a country that can't attract any meaningful investment, people who are going to come in and provide better jobs that will be paying better money, right? What happened is that these youngsters, they themselves becomes cannon fodder for the gangs, right? Cannon fodder. With this person, Larry, you have no idea why people commit crime, not politics, not social problem, not the economy, a violation of the perfect law, a law that is our life. I mean, I have no idea what that means, but just said. I can understand that. But the reality is that if we have a country where as a government that is required to provide for the administration of the country, and you cannot provide the kind of environment that will situate that your kids who are going to school, that the kids who are going to school, that when them go to school and come out, them better than when them did go to school, when them never go to school rather. And that when them come out, them have at least a couple of subjects that if them can't go to university or go some vocational training, them at least can find themselves a job. But for the better part of the last 40 years, Jamaica has not been able to make those provisions for its population, right? And as a consequence of which, we don't invest in developing our communities, right? We have difficulty collecting the garbage in the inner city, right? But there in Jamaica the other day, garbage pile on the place, fly, roach, rat, everything all over the place. Cause you know, no water in the people empire. So if you don't provide for the communities, so you say to people, you know, as you get into adulthood, here's an opportunity for a better life. What you do is leave them to go to their own devices. On top of that, a lot of our youngsters come out of homes, they're not a father. A man come and get some nunu from a woman, fire a seed and breed a woman, and gone. And him go out and breed 3, 4 women, and them now have the baby father. So these young men in particular are growing up without any father figure influence in their life. So guess what them do? Them look for that within the gang cohort. And because them now have nothing else to do, them now have no education, them can't get a job, them are father for the gang. And then what the government now do is when you now provide for them, but when them start to get involved with antisocial activities, you then give the police big gun for go look for them, stalk them, and murder them. Think about that. If that is what governance is about in Jamaica, right? As Agro Valley Farm said, poverty of thinking is a major problem for those in government. And I couldn't agree with you more. Our reality is that, you know, a friend of mine once pointed out to me that when you look at the current administration, none of the people who form the government have ever run a business. Very important. Because if you run a business, you recognize that you have a responsibility outside of your immediate family, your staff. You have to look out for them. So you have to make provisions, right? And so if you can carry that kind of thinking into government, you recognize that your population, you have to provide for your population. Let me put some things out there. A country with a population that is better educated, right, is less likely for members of that population to resort to violence. in the first instance, right? More importantly, more than 30% of our murders in Jamaica are what is referred to as domestic murders. In other words, a man and a woman now get along, he claims that she a give him bun, or she claims him a give her bun, and rather than them sit down and talk it out, when one of them asleep at night time, one go for something and eradicate the other one, right? Or two people have a disagreement, neighbor to neighbor, one run go for mash it, and before you know it, somebody dead. People who are better educated, who are able to process these issues, who are able to see value for not only theirs, but the existence of their fellow human being, is not going to resort to violence when you have a disagreement. The problem in Jamaica is that the reverse is what is true. Jamaica is a country where, while more people in the school system, we only just a turnout people who, as the song say, fully dunce, right? And fully dunce people, this is the kind of thing, right? The police talk about gunman and take on police when police go for them. Again, fully dunce. If people were better educated, you're not going on a gang. And even if you're going on a gang as a better educated person, you're going to avoid confrontation with the police. So at every aspect that you look at this crime problem and murder problem in Jamaica, it is a problem that emanates from the poor administration that our political masters have, the poor administrative job that they have done as far as it comes with managing our country's economy and social activities, right? We are a country where what we have is we manage the country by public relations. Well, every politician I walk around right now, you don't think that the Prime Minister is the only minister of government, because everything we do, him have a camera and whole heap of promises and all. And all of that is stem for looking out to try win for the next election, right? And I'm not alone. The other side do the same thing too. So where are we going to draw the line, right? Where are we going to draw the line, right? Unless we start to pay attention, make a commitment to a long-term program of rehabilitating not only our communities, but to provide the resources for our school system, so you can have at least an attempt at greater equity in education delivery. It is impossible that one school will report a 99 or 100% pass in a CXC exams. But when you look down at the bottom, 60% of the other of the schools on record is passing between 0 and 5%, right? And the primary reason for that is inequitable distribution of resources to the school system, right? We don't pay our workers enough. And so teachers, as them finish teachers college, them get a 2 or 3 years in a classroom down in Jamaica, them a look for find a way for and them gone, because them a look for better elsewhere, right? We have to commit as a country to transforming the social and economic environment if you're really serious about addressing this crime problem. Because hunting down members of the population because them are gunman or gunwoman, that is not the answer. We have been here multiple times over, multiple times over, and the result is the same. So, is it a case then of them versus us? If we never had the Jamaicans for Justice, let me say this too, because that's where the police commissioner is literally trying to mud up the Jamaicans for Justice. Jamaicans for Justice is the one bulwark that we have against this runaway murdering activity of our police, And I'm not saying that every policeman is a murderer, but me know a whole heap of police who will say, right, if you press them, that yes, among them colleagues, they have seen these instances. I used to it. I see it. So we have to realize that if you allow a policeman to just wantonly, police go up on a killing squad and them go in a yard and 3 people in the yard, them want 1, right? But 3 people there, them not try to find out what the state situation is. And don't tell me about the show me your company and I tell you who you are, because that's bullshit. Police have to have and operate with better responsibility, right? You can't go in a yard and you kill 5 men and then you turn out and say, boy, a gunman. And then the population of Jamaicans, because we're punch drunk by the issue of murder, nobody's holding the political populace responsible for causing this problem. Because if we were not wasting our limited resources, where we were putting more money, we say we have built all kind of whole heap of road, spend some of that money in the school system, right? Spend some money, better the schools. The power grabbers going back to Busterman, they always wanted an illiterate population. CXC results on the Holness government for the past 9 years has been abysmal. I don't have information to corroborate those stats, but I take them under advisement. The reality is that our school system is failing Agro Valley Farm, and that is beyond dispute. Our school system is failing, and it is turning out people who their only fit is for the criminality, and by extension they become targets, cannon fodder for the police. And so the government and the politicians, the current administration, will beat them chest and tell you, oh, we're killing out all of the gunmen. Really? Really? We've done this before. We did it in the 1970s. We did it in the 1980s. We did it in the 1990s. And it never worked, because that is not the solution to the problems that assail us, right? We have been on this cycle for too long, right? As Derek Dodd says, as you said, this is a cycle. There has to be concerned. Crime goes up, then the government killing machines start to work. Unfortunately, as I've always said, that to fix the issue, some good folks will get caught up. So the question is, what is the crime rate looking like now? And enough gun them recover, enough man are dead, so crime rate must have fallen. Oh, absolutely. There is a correlation between they're making that correlation between the updated police activities and there is a good 15 or 18% reduction in murder rates. But it is important that people recognize that a drop in the murder rate over a couple of months is not a trend, right? A trend has to be looked at over a protracted period of time. You can only consider that there is a declining trend in murders when you look at your crime statistics over a 5 to 7 year period. Outside of those periods, you can't call it a trend. It is not, because what you have, unless you change this set of circumstances that produces the criminal behavior, unless you do that, right? And then you can then look at what we actually did over this period of time, right? Where programs take a lot longer to become effective, and it starts to impact your population, right? We have the Genesis story is still very much real. It is still active. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Our reality, guys, is that this cannot continue, right? Agro Valley Farms will say in 2024, only 18% of high school students passed the minimum 5 CXC subjects, which included the mandatory maths and English language. So you're bearing out my pointers here. as long as these education, these academic statistics is what we're delivering, our problem with crime and murder in particular is never going to stop, right? So unless we are going to get to the point where we're saying we are normalizing killing 330 members of our population every year, which would push us to about 7 per 100,000 at that rate, right? Because right now, in 2024, the police kill rate per 1,000 of the Jamaican population is 5 person per 100,000 population is being killed by the police. And when you contrast that with everywhere else in the world, right? Jamaica's police kill rate is 15 times. Remember I said that, you know, is 14.9 times, right? That of the United States of America, which has one of the most brutal and repressive police activity, especially among certain population groups, right? And Jamaica's kill rate is 15 times theirs. So it's important that as Jamaicans, we you know, wake up to the realities that is facing us, right? I'm not suggesting that the police now have a difficult job, but that is why they have the training. That is why they have all this equipment. Not every time somebody challenge you, right? Gunfire, if you caught and have the man, because we also want to catch some of them, but the police cannot. The police cannot be judge, jury, and executioner. And anybody who believes that that should be allowed to fly, I think you need to get in the head examined, right? We are on the march towards elections. I am not batting for any side, you know, because as far as I'm concerned, you know, the two political parties are failures. But in the absence of any performance from the current administration, I guess we just have to flip the seat them over until I hope that somewhere along the line we find a middle ground. But this kind of thing cannot continue. We cannot have a country where the political leadership is sanctioning, is giving a green light, turning a blind eye to the police excesses. And then the head of the Jamaica police, right? The head of the police, the commissioner, a man of scholarship, is standing up in front of Jamaicans on national television that is broadcast around the world. And when you strain off what him say, him basically, I tell you, say, him now have no apology for give to the people them who the police are killed unnecessarily, right? The argument that the police bring in thousands of people per year, arrest and charge them, is bullshit, because the conviction rates in the courts is not reflected by those numbers, right? If the police are bringing in thousands, and even if you arrest and charge and convict at a 30% rate, you would have you at least would have 30% of those people who you hold, who you bound them over in a prison for a period of time, and that is not the case. Conviction rates in the Jamaican court system is less than 5%. And the Chief Justice of Jamaica has said that the system is failing. So it's not only the police system that failed, the court system don't work either, right? Because it takes on an average 10 to 12 years to take a case through the court system in Jamaica. What kind of justice system is that? We have people who are murderers who come back out the street, right? And before you know it, the witness dead, and the case mash up, and the man out the road that kill people, see me. And the police now go for them people. There are police who will tell you that some of the man them are criminal and murderer, and them know them. Them dare not go arrest them, because if you do that, politician them pressure them out of them job, and them can't afford for now to work so them can feed them family. So we are in a catch-22 situation, right? And then on the opposite side of the equation, you have a killing force of police, and that what they are doing is going out there to ramp up the kill statistics to give the impression that they are addressing Jamaica's crime problem, when all that they are doing is becoming the criminals themselves. And who don't like it? The statistics is there to show that. So me not take back my talk, right? We are in a box of bricks, and the current situation cannot be allowed to continue. I am going to single out again the JFJ people. Thanks that you wake up and out there. Don't be perturbed. Don't be pushed aside by these politicians who are trying to, in order to win election, them basically push cloth and paper in your mouth and tell you to shut up, right? We need to amplify this, because when the international community takes a look at what we're doing in Jamaica, is a whole different ballgame. They did that before. They actually got rid of in 2 different cases 2 police commissioners for the same kind of thing, right? This cannot be allowed to continue, right? We're gonna leave it right there. You know, this is a burning topic, and I'm going to promise you guys that, you know, we're gonna keep the floodlight on this thing, because do I believe that every police out there is complicit in this kind of behavior? No. Do I believe that we can do better? Absolutely. I believe also that with proper allocation of resources, right, better, a more humane approach, administration of resources at the school level, the you know, commitment to develop programs and policy that is consistent with producing better, you know, academic outcomes for our kids is the answer to addressing our crime problem. This thing has been going on for the better part of nearly 40 years. There is no flick the switch approach that is going to turn this around. So for those of you who believe that giving the police more gun, and, you know, the police can take the people them off of the street, because you know, we boast that we have the technology and all of this kind of thing. Well, use the technology. You don't need for every time you go you kill people. Let's bring in these people. Let's give the people them day before the court system. But then again, we also need to do something about the court system, which in and of itself, we can barely call it that it is working. Again, let me thank you guys for joining me again this week. I must use the opportunity to just point out that you know, check out my website at yaadmedia.com. That's YAADD media.com. And I have a new book that I'm going to be launching in a couple of weeks. We'll talk about that at the next program. And again, just want to thank you guys for joining. Those of you who are on YouTube, thanks to, if you have not done so, share this stream with your friends and encourage them to join this program from time to time. We do this every Wednesday. Until next week, Wednesday, more time.